Welcome, everybody. We are Community Fathers. Walter Simpkins, Asia Priest, Kenny. What's your last name again? Kenny. What's your last name again?
Brooks.
Kenny Brooks and Johan Matthews. We are here for our third annual Community Fathers Fest. Here to talk about a couple of things that we deal with and invite you out. Mr. Walter being the director of Community Fathers, we've had conferences most all of these years. In the last 3 years, this is going to be the third year, we've had a successful Father Festival. What do you think is the impact of that compared to when we had the closed door events?
Well, I think that it was the reason why we had those events in that format. Because at first we had it just events we had in the community, and that was for community people to come out. They got to know us. They supported us. Then what we found was that on many occasions, the people who fathers had to deal with were institutions, social workers, DSS, the courts. So what we needed to do is we needed to be able to inform that those particular people about what fathers were about and what we felt was needed. And so that's why we did the conferences, so that this way they could come and participate and learn about fathers and fathering, and especially how to make these organizations father-friendly. And then after that, we moved into the festivals, where we were opening it up to the greater fatherhood community in the city, and people could come and travel to come and be a part of this. So that was the nature of why we went to this format.
Indeed. And what's beautiful about it is people could come and go as they please. And whereas when we're inside, it's less intrusive, like they can leave when they want to, they can come when they want to. And it gives an air of freedom, I think, of experiencing the community fathers' experience and then being able to disengage and think about it when they wanted to. So, Asia, being the person that usually organizes these things, like I remember the panels we had last year. We had one where it was husband and wife dealing with finances. Yep. The other one was the fathers, which is my pleasure to be a part of. What made you come up with these specific workshops, and what impact did you think that they was going to have?
Well, in particular, in our communities, the things that came about were the things that we deal with on a daily basis, right? Relationships and money, why money matters.
Right.
You know, we had one about the health, mental health, and then also health as far as like the food that you're putting in your body, right? Because health is wealth. We all know this. And then we also had the one that we talked more about, it was more like an open forum where the fathers could talk and just get off their chest, maybe things that they're thinking of, that is important to them. You know, here I am, I'm a woman, so I can say that this might be important, but it's really up to the men to speak and say what to them is actually important. So the impact that I think it had was that people felt like they were in a safe space, or even just a community of men where they can actually talk about realer things, right? So when you talk about the conference is more structured. We kind of have like an idea of how things are going to go. We pull people, whereas at the festival, like you said, it's open. It's open to anybody and from all walks of life to communicate and say what's on their mind, right?
To me, it's like I feel like a mini Million Man March. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's always sunny, and there's men there and women there, and it's peaceful. The children running around. Right. You don't get any idea that anything is going to happen. That's the way I feel when I come to it. It's just like it captures that spirit, but it's in just like a local sense.
Right.
So I think that's one thing we're successful with. Mr. Kenny, you usually well, you've been there for all of our father conferences, but you also have sometimes the people working within your programs there. What do you think is the impact of having a fatherhood festival and allowing those youth to see men of distinction talking about the stuff that we talk about?
It's just good to always have the youth and people in the community be a part of big things happening in their city. So that's pretty much it.
And I think the voices that they hear from doing the stuff that we do is a good influence. You know what I'm saying? I don't think a lot of times we don't have necessarily people from different backgrounds speaking to us. You know what I'm saying? So when we do that, they see we all have a past, but we all are doing what we're doing, right. and it gives them an alternative to look at. So I think that's one of the most powerful things. So Mr. Johan, having been part of, community...
the Culture Fest last Saturday.
No, but what was the What was the
Community
organization
connections, right?
that you was a part of before? That talked about lending money and things like that.
So working with different community development financial
Right.
institutions,
Right.
like the Community Loan Fund, the Cooperative Fund, the
Indeed. I'm
Skanky
sorry.
Foundation, and so on.
And so doing that, like, and then seeing the examples that are being presented towards the people, like, what kind of idea does that give you?
Well, a lot of the times we see money as the missing ingredient in our community, but I think we here know that the people is profoundly more powerful than any amount of dollars in your pocket.
Indeed.
And so the person that we want to show up to this thing would be the father,
Right.
right? We know the father's missing, and that's like money in our communities. It's like money missing from your pocket when you have fathers missing from your communities.
Right.
And so we want to bring the fathers out so that their presence is recognized and respected.
Right.
And we want to encourage the fatherly presence in 2024 to be about love. So that's the theme of this year, you know what I mean? Getting that presence there and making sure it's a presence of love.
Fantastic. I want to go back to you, Kenny. So the panel we had last year, her brother was on. It was a powerful panel. I was just like, wow, being a part of those people. And we dealt with some really powerful issues. You being a person 10 toes down in the community, what issues do you think would you like to see us talk about this year? And you think would have the most impact on the community in general?
I feel like just putting a magnifying glass on the importance of fathers, and just seeing fathers down at the festival. Just, I would say, attendance of fathers in the community with their children. I feel like that's better than a topic. Just to come downtown and be out with our kids and our families and our wives and our girlfriends and baby mothers and significant others, and just all showing that, this is our city. We love one another, and we're moving forward, and we're pushing the city forward. We're pushing our families forward. We're pushing our communities forward. And again, just to put on for our city to know that we can come to downtown Schenectady, J Street near City Hall, the library, Pizza King, the YMCA, and just enjoy downtown, like how it's done on Sundays in the farmers market.
Right.
Sundays downtown, the farmers market is beautiful. There's vendors, there's people, they're walking their dog. It's just a joyful, energetic feeling of just love and peace and just serenity. And the same feelings and the same vision should happen come August 10th, excuse me.
Yes.
Mr. Walter,
Yes.
what issue do you think? Last year we dealt with couples in finance. I thought that was very powerful.
Yes.
Especially with the people that we had, as in Elroy and Trent and their respective wives. What issues do you think we should deal with this year that would have an impact? We're up against this crazy election cycle and some other things that's going on, and people's minds are in 1,000 different directions. What do you think we could zero in on that really is not really covered by most people talking about fathers and fatherhood in general?
Well, I think that our themes say a lot about what we think is the important or relevant issues to our community. Last year we did Fathers, Caretakers of the 21st Century, and that was an important understanding that fatherhood has changed. We're no longer relegated to the boxes that fathers used to be put in.
Protector and provider.
Yeah,
Right.
protector and provider. And the thing is that what happened is we are now starting to caretake. More and more fathers are getting full custody of their children. When you go around to schools, daycare centers, you'll see fathers dropping and picking up the children. You'll see fathers in the laundry. You'll see more fathers pushing carriages and their children in carriages or taking them to the parks than ever before. This year we've expanded and we're moving in to a whole nother concept. And I think that you alluded to it when you were talking about all of the different situations we're facing today in the world that we live in.
Right.
This is a period right now where there are so many things going on, and especially a lot of negative things, a lot of contentiousness that we're finding all that are surrounding us. So what we're doing is we're saying love is the answer.
Right.
Okay? There was a song one time that said, found a cure. Love will fix it. And I think that that's what we're moving towards now. The world needs now love more than ever. And if we don't bring that together and deal with it in our communities and in the people that we think should be leading us, because if they're leading us with more hatred, with more anger, all we do is have the world as we've always had it. And at this particular point, so that's why these are the topics. Love is the topic, because if we don't have that, there's a saying that says, only love is real and nothing else exists. And that is why it is so important. If we're going to be fathers, we're not the fathers who were just disciplinarians before.
Right.
We're fathers that are coming and loving and caring and have something to offer our children more than some money at the end of the day,
Right.
or things. We're offering a part of ourselves. And the best part of ourselves is love.
Right. And it's like I teach a class like once every 6 months, and it's called the traditional role and the reality role. Because the traditional role is protector and provider and all that other stuff. But as a father, you have to be an emotional protector and an emotional provider. And that's the one thing that those two things I think get overlooked when we talk about that. So, and I'd love for you to go into that eventually, but as a woman coming to the Father Festival and being a cornerstone, which you are, of community fathers, what issues do you think that women talk to you about that you think we maybe overlook when we come together to talk about fathers and being a man in general?
Right. I was talking to everybody, I believe, before about the same thing, about the whole love scarcity that you talk about a lot. So I think what the main thing that, from a woman's perspective, there's a sense of division, right? But that also depends on what's being pushed your way, right? Through social media, through, what you attend to, what you see is sometimes what you get back, right? So the things that I see online might be just a figment of the things that are I'm looking at, But a lot of the women I see, there's this right now, in our generation, in our culture, there's this weird division going on between men and women, right? There's this constant battle that we're seeing, and it's weird, right? So I think that's the biggest thing. There's this feeling of not being together, the unity, and I think once you step outside and come to the fest, you see that that's not actually true. Some things are made up because they're pushed to you that way, right? There's a certain thing called algorithm. We all know about it. But after the pandemic, we hardly go outside. So we're not really seeing the true reality, like you said, the reality of what relationships look like, what love looks like for real. It's not as real as you think. So I think from my point of view as a woman, the thing I hear the most is like there feels like a sense of division, that they're not together. We're not working together as hard. But I'm like, I don't believe it, because everybody I know that I see personally in my life, I see you with Tanika and your daughter. I see you with your girl and your kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I've seen people around me, but that's my reality, right? Because I'm out and about, and I'm seeing different things. So I think it's that. It's the unity, it's the division, it's the love. This is why we're going here. Like, no, there is love in relationships. There is love in having kids. There's love in community, and we just want everybody to see that and to come out and speak their piece, their side about what they think about it.
That's beautiful, because I believe that that's the one thing that's taken out of it. That's why when I do my show on Tuesday, Conflict in Relationships, I talk about coming back together. And I realize I'm in the minority, because most people who are viral either talk about how to get out of something or how to get into something. Nobody talks about how to stay.
Right. And that's because that also that sells, if you guys understand how that works. Negativity and Discord, that's what goes the furthest, right? If there's anything related to drama, that's gonna skyrocket, right? But if there's something online that's talking about peace and unity and coming together, it's not gonna go as far. So we just hope we could change that. I really genuinely believe that that's something that we can change.
I want to ask you something. I do a segment every second Tuesday called Confessions of a Flawed Dad. He doesn't like the name of that. But Confessions of a Flawed Dad. Talking about the ways in which I could have done better as a dad, but did not, and kind of talking about it so everybody could benefit from it. Being a person who is prominent on the board and prominent in the community, but having faults yourself. How do you strike that balance that when you come before people, speaking to people, you're looked at as a certain person, but then when you go home, you got to be a dad, and you may not have been the best dad that you think you could be. Like, how do you master the imposter syndrome and the things that come with being that kind of person?
Yeah, it's an important question, and I've been struggling with this since I begun my career, as I would say, answer the call to do the work I do, since 21, and I wondered, because I was a young father, how do I do this work, which is improving the community or helping people move forward in my community, and be present at home,
Right,
with my children, leading the life that can inspire them. That's my thinking for my children. How do I lead a life where I'm lovingly inspiring my children to follow in some type of footsteps? So I think the answer that I got at that point was to involve them. And so that's what I still try to do, especially for my young son. He's 13. So I say, yo, you're in my mentorship program. You're everywhere I am for the next couple of months or years or whatever it is. So he might resent that, but that's one way I do it. Show him the outside, because he only knows the inside.
right.
And we're in a world right now where whatever your insides are, they're going to come to light because everyone's in your business. So we're in a world right now where if you do want to be someone who is leading a movement or moving forward towards a positive direction that you want to inspire others to follow along, you're going to have to let whatever is inside of you out. You
Right.
got to be authentic. You got to be transparent. I'm not transparent on social media because that's a trap. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'll talk how I talk.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'll bring my kids out. I'll talk publicly to young people, to other people about the fact that, I didn't marry the mother of my son, and, oh, I regret that, and the mother of my daughter, and, this and that. So I feel like you just got to be transparent. I don't want to encourage anyone to make the mistakes I've made, but I want to keep it real that I became who I am because of those and because
Yes.
of overcoming those. And so that's just a part of the story.
Gotcha.
And you got to deal with it. And I talked to my son about it. I would never put something on him that I don't think he can process. But I said, that's how this is who your mother is, this is who I am.
Right.
Why do you think that worked out like that? You know what I mean? And he'll give me his perspective as to who she is or who I am. And I said, well, that's your choice.
Right.
You can now see what I do something different, do something similar. So I wouldn't overexpose him, but I do have those conversations with him to say, hey, these are options. What options would you take?
Right.
What path would you take? So that's what I do a lot of the time. You got to let it out because somebody's coming for you. But also, if you can show a little bit in a reasonable way to your children, I think that's the best way forward out of being a flawed dad.
And there's a balance, because if you show too much,
They're going to be
then they-
inspired.
you know what I'm saying? Like, let me
Take
tell
up-
you about this guy Daoud that you guys don't know about, that I know about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I want to get to you. Like, I posted a picture of me, Tyrell, and Kenny like maybe 3 years ago. You should have seen the amount of responses it got from his friends. You know what I'm saying? So you're looked at as a great man amongst the people that know you and love you. There was people, I was like, oh, I didn't know he knew that person. You know what I'm saying? There's mad people just dropping in 3 weeks later on this one picture. You know what I'm saying? And so I know that, you have a certain status in the barbershop, then you have a certain status in the boxing gym, and then you have a certain status doing your IOIO. And it's pressure because a lot of people look up to you. How do you navigate that pressure, or does it never even really dawn on you?
There's no pressure. Just like he was just talking about the flawed dad, it's all on how you see things, how you view things. And again, I'm just always present. So it's being present versus being perfect. I'm present in a lot of different avenues and in different ways throughout the community, throughout fatherhood, throughout brotherhood. I'm just present. So I might not can do it the best, but I'll be there to do it and get it done. And I just want to speak on the flawed father. Sometimes a peanut butter and jelly sandwich is better than starving. And some people just love a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Right.
And, I view, a flawed father as a perfect peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Some people can't live without it. Some people love it. Some people adore it. some people eat steak all the time, so a peanut butter jelly sandwich is just a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, just a snack. But
Right.
like something as simple as yesterday, I just want to say I took my daughter to the pool, and there were some community kids that they couldn't get in without their parents.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to let them in the pool, and you got to sign for them and everything like that, and they're lying about their age and what year they was born, that way they can
Right.
get into the pool, and it was just a whole bunch of things going on. But I was there, I was present. I might be a flawed father to my daughter, who was there with her father. She might have her opinion about me, but that flawed father at the time for someone else was like, I was the savior.
You were Superman.
I was
Yep.
there. He got me in the pool.
Yep.
That's not honest, Dad. I love him. Not to say go the extra mile, but I know if I was hot and trying to get into the pool and I got in there with somebody's dad, I'm gonna always appreciate that.
Right. Right.
So just being a flawed father it's just how you look at it.
That's
I
dope.
feel.
Well, let me ask you a follow-up question. With all the children that you deal with, some are going to follow the way you want, some are not, then some are going to go totally left. You know what I'm saying? And when they do, sometimes they may ask us for money, sometimes they may ask us for other stuff like that. And it'd be tough because we want to be there for them, but we know when they're taking an inch, trying to take it a mile. How do you navigate your respect and love that you have from the children, but at the same time teach them the healthy boundaries? You guys can't go this far with me because that's against who I am.
Like Johan was saying, you got to break it down, transparent and realistic, and try to be truth, try to be honorable, and and be unconditional. Because in life, I know I've done stuff where people's like, I can't stand him, I'm never gonna talk to him again. It's just natural for everyone to have a moment where they done something that they feel like they should have never done, or they made a person feel like they shouldn't have made them feel, or they said to themselves, they hate someone, I can't stand them, or I'm never talking to them, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
But you just got to have forgiveness and unconditional love, because life is just too short for it's too short to let negative and hateful energy be the dictator of the way you feel. And again, with the youth and with training and with teaching kids, or just being an example. Every day I'm learning, every day I'm making mistakes, and then I always say to myself, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing to the best of your ability, so you can't blame other people when they're not.
Right.
Everybody can level up themselves one more level, but people are like, yeah, I'm at a good level, so I'm stagnant, I'm cool, I'm gonna just coast.
Mm-hmm.
So your level at a level can be coasting, but it's a lower level than somebody at a higher level than you, and a higher level as somebody at a low level than you. So again, depending on how you view it, you got people under you that's like, oh God, I want to aspire to be
Right.
who they are.
They just
You
say
got-
this in the nation nowadays. Your worst day is somebody's best day.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Powerful. Mr. Walter, so the theme is love. And I've come to you about several situations this year where I've had incidents with my children, and you advised me to deal with it in love, because it could have gone squirrely. And these are my older children, not even my younger children. Because when I was young, I remember my teacher's mother used to always say, when they're younger, the children get on your toes. When they're older, they get on your heart. Mm-hmm. So can you please explain how your philosophy of dealing with children in love, even when y'all have disagreements, things like that, sometimes children may want to curse you out, stuff like that, and you may see it as a bridge too far, but you've always advised me to deal with it in love. Please tell me your philosophy on that.
Well, I think that this is really where we're heading for the 21st century. We used to deal with a lot of things, right and wrong, and discipline. And as long as you shut up and did what you was told to do by the adults, then you were the good kid. All right. But if you did something independently, you were the negative one,
Right.
or you were the bad kid in the neighborhood.
Right.
So what's happening is we're starting to change that, because we're looking at ourselves, we're looking at the children that we're raising as being people of substance, somebody who means something. We've all been through it when somebody has made us feel like we were less than, or children of a lesser God. And what has happened is sometimes that wound stays with you for a very long time. But when you give somebody love, I remember I learned a long time ago that the saying that said people come to you for only two reasons.
Right.
Either it's a call for love or a call for help.
Help. Yep.
Okay? So if that's the case, even when our children come, I may not have the best understanding of what's best for them, but what I can do is, based upon my years of living, I can give you options. And out of those options, you can choose what may be best for you, or it'll stimulate you to come up with some options for yourself. We live in a world where people want to tell us what to do, what to think, and who to be.
Right.
Those days are over. Now people are being who they are inwardly being directed to be. And sometimes that might go against everything that we think or believe. But the thing is that when we look at our children, we look at the people around us, I tell you, I am so overjoyed to be sitting here at this table
Me too.
with these are great people here. And when we start to look at everybody as great in their own way, we're all children of the Creator. And so if the Creator could have patience with me and my many decades of going crazy, then I think that I could take the time to be a little patient with others around me.
Right.
But sometimes I get squirrely
Yeah.
and I'll start going off. But the beautiful thing is that I have people around me also that will remind me
Right.
of what I think or what I believe or what I done said.
Right.
And there's nothing worse than when you say something and somebody throws your words back at you. So you try to live up. My daughter helped me at one point by saying to me, Dad, the only thing that I ask of you is that you be honest and authentic. And with those two things, which I had to practice being, because I've been anything I felt like being in the world.
Right. Right.
But that brought me to another level, at least for her. And in practicing to do it for her, then I began to practice doing it with others. And this is how we go. I'd like to say something because there's some really good things that are being said here. But again, too, when you ask about leadership or all that, Community Fathers has tried to meet the need of our community.
100%.
At one point, we had, from our famous beloved Warren Mackey, we had the University of Success.
Right.
And in that, because a lot of people, if you ask them what success is, it's usually about things outside themselves. A home, a car, this, that, and the other. But success comes from the principles within yourself that you live by. And those are the things that are important. Then we had what we called the Community Leadership Boot Camp. And let me just say, when Johan was speaking a moment ago, the importance of leadership among people of color. If you read the history of most of the black leaders that have come and done some remarkable stuff, many of them had problems with their families.
Yes, sir.
Because again, it's hard to be the person in the world and be a person at home.
Right.
And then when your children don't understand that you're building something great and they see you just as being absent.
Right.
So what happens is, this is why it's so important that mothers and fathers and family work together so that therefore children understand that, no, my father's out there doing stuff. Now, Nyana, Kenneth's daughter, might want to just be in the pool with her and her dad. But because of who he is, he opens his arms to the neighborhood.
Indeed.
And therefore, they begin to see that, hey, her father's special.
Right.
But what he's doing is giving them love.
Right.
And sometimes we get territorial about love, and becomes the problem. Because, it's like, you love me, then you're all mine. And then we grow up with that mentality, and that's why relationships go so bad. I remember Asia's mother. Asia's mother was a woman who dealt with all the youth in the community. And for them, it was like, yo, that's my mom, okay?
Right.
But she had that love that could spread out to others. We have been taught that our love is so limited that if you give it to any more than one person, you violated some kind of divine law. When the reality of that you have the ability to expand it to the limits that only you limit. So therefore, all of these things fit in to who we are as community fathers. And as fathers of the community needs the fathering and the love also.
Let me just ask you this, and I want to ask you something, but on most of your social media podcasts, they say men don't really want love, they want respect. And to me, that's crazy. Because I know that is not necessarily true. What do you think about this idea? Men want respect more than they want love.
I think that's an oxymoron. That people like to always tell people what is and what is not.
Indeed.
Even Shakespeare said, nothing is neither right nor wrong, but thinking makes it so.
That's right.
Okay, so it's the way you see something. There's a thing that says that the Holy Spirit will answer every question that you ask, and a vision will correct the perception of everything you see. In the program of the Bridges Out of Poverty, they do nothing but, and that is the city mission, which really helped our communities in general come together.
Indeed.
But what they talk about is the lens that you see things out of. And sometimes we see things from a lens that's distorted. And it's distorted by people whose limitation is see what's the reality going on right around them. And if you have people that can't even see you as a real person, then wait a minute. I can't follow their lens and their viewpoint.
Right.
So yes, I think that, again, this is why we have to introduce a new language. And that's what we're beginning to do amongst ourselves.
Indeed.
We're creating a new world of the 21st century. And in the new world, there's a new language. There used to be this thing that they said, don't take my love as a weakness. What the? You understand?
Right.
Or the other term that they used to use a lot, tough love. How's you going to talk about love and tough at the same time?
Right.
Love is love.
Right.
But they make you believe something, and everybody starts parroting something that is just not real. So we have to bring it to our community, and we have to bring it to the selves in the way we live.
Thank you, sir. I just...
Right.
Somewhere when it was cold, I want to say March and April, there was this thing going around Schenectady about this young sister who had a child and left the child somewhere. And that became a big talk on social media. And I remember responding to this because I have a session that I do, I call it addiction and depression, and how the both of them parlay with each other. Right. And so as a woman, a part of a father's organization, as a strong woman, part of a strong father's organization that had such a strong mother, how do you then reshape that message that because most people looked at that and said, oh, she was, just a bad mom, this, that, and the next thing. And I'm saying to myself, things like this are much more nuanced. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like we could sit there and we could judge your father, we could judge your mother. Right. But things like this, and being a former alcoholic, I know that when you're addicted to something, it becomes your primary focus. Right. And everything else you only deal with, you know what I'm saying? So whatever happened or however happened, what I was trying to show is that you cannot downplay the addiction part of it. So I guess what I'm asking you is, having the kind of mother that you have, having the kind of brothers that you have, and being the person that you are, how do you then reshape that message to people that you talk to that it's not about just this surface level stuff, but really it's about the love?
Oh, so multifaceted, huh?
Big question.
Yeah. So even in thinking about that, I remember hearing about that case. I don't pass judgment immediately, right? And I never will. Period. I'm not in her state. I don't know what her state was, or even what was going on. So I will never make excuses for anybody, nor will I ever judge them, right? But I always do go to, you never know. I wasn't there. I don't know what her mental capacity was, and I just I'd say a prayer for the baby and for her, right, and for her family, anybody that loved either one of them, But the question you were saying in regards to like reshaping and, say it again.
So when people come to you with
Yeah.
that kind of surface level understand, oh, they did this, they did that, because
Right.
that's just one
Right.
example. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
you see
no.
many.
Okay.
How do you then turn it around? Like reshape that message.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
with-
So I mean, in general, that's where I always come from. Like it's taking away judgment, right? Trying to take away judgment. One thing my mother was good at is just we could not like we wouldn't like somebody and we'd be so mad if she even spoke to them. Like, how dare you even speak to this person? You know what I'm saying? We
Right.
don't talk to them.
Right.
And she's like, well, your relationship with them is different from my relationship with them, right? And I see them from this point of view, and I also see their hurts, and we're like, well, we're hurt, Mom. We don't care about this person, But she always tried to tell us to step outside of ourselves and think of things in terms, in essence, put yourself in their shoes, something that they might be going through, how they feel. Always think of that first, right? Always think about how people don't neglect how you feel, right? Because if someone genuinely does you wrong, or there's some really bad blood between you, that it might be relevant, but always consider things outside of yourself, right? So I think that's how we deal with people. There's people right now that might not like myself, my brothers. There have been people that have not liked me but love my brother, and I'm like, how is that even possible? You know what I'm saying? We come from the same
Listen,
people.
your brother just did
Right?
the nicest, the meanest list
Nicest
on
to
Facebook,
meanest, right?
and
That's
you were
the thing.
second to last.
I
And I
was
was
second
let
to
me
last
find
on all
out.
their lists. Okay, but I just feel like it's that piece is just look outside of yourself first. You could have your feelings, but have a soft spot. She always had a soft spot for everybody. It didn't matter who they were. There was something inside her that said, I'm still going to look at you from, a point of what's going on in your world. You know what I'm saying? What's affecting you to make you even feel this way about me? Because a lot of times it's a mirror. People project off to you what's actually going on in their life, right? So that's how we reframe. We all do that. We joke about something, but we also really look into why a person might feel the way they might feel, right?
See, me myself, when I'm not myself, like if I'm really stressed going through something or whatever, I may come out with some seriously judgmental garbage.
Right.
But when I'm halfway me on top of myself, I always remember the lessons taught to me by Walter and other people like that, and I try my best to say, wait a minute, there's something else to this. Mm-hmm. And that's how I dealt with most of the fathers that came to my DV class, because society wants me to say, you guys just like to hit women. And I know it's deeper than that. You know what I'm saying? Now, every once in a while, you get the guy that just likes to. And I always say that in the beginning of my class. I say, as a disclaimer, if you come here and you just like to hit women, I probably can't help you. However, if you just make some mistakes or you just see things differently, and a lot of times the dude who will brand himself as just like it will realize, he just made a couple of mistakes and he just needs to see things differently. And I believe that. I really believe that what we're doing as an organization, we are helping to change the way people look at themselves.
Right.
And if you can help a person change the way they look at themselves, no matter how heinous the crime was, at least they have a chance now to do something different.
Right.
In contrast to everybody, you was doing wrong, everybody was telling you was doing wrong, so I might as well, just go along with the flow. And I think that that's how people stay in their situation.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes people need only one person to believe in them, and that one person makes them, cause them to make a change.
Right.
How much more time we got? Because you know me, I can keep on going.
Minutes, we're past that.
Right.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I
You
can keep
went
on
past
going.
our meeting, nah? Okay.
So I guess, in summary, I'm going to go around the table and get a summary. What do you hope to see the impact? What is the one impact you hope to see this Father Festival have?
I think riffing off of what was just said, that identity shift, and to understand that the identity is essentially presence. I am Father. We've seen Father in this way for the last couple, maybe half a century. For the last 50 years in our community, there's been a mischaracterization of who that Father is. And I think it's time for us as an entire community, as a family, and as men, to reimagine that identity and to establish our presence in our community in a loving way, in a way that says we're one, right? Men have to do that, women have to do that, children have to do that. We have to see ourselves differently, have that identity, create a new future for us, one where, again, we're all able to express ourselves authentically in a way that is soft enough to lay in, to lay in forever. So that's what we want, reimagining identities to establish our presence in the community and for everyone to know that we are fathers, I am father, and that we're here.
Fantastic. That's dope. And your breakdown of Jerry Burrell was powerful. Like, I didn't know all that. Like, at the Culture Fest, he had to break down, like, who Jerry Burrell was, and I was like, I didn't know all that. Mr. Kenny?
I just want to see probably double the amount of fathers and families that were there last year, just enjoying and spreading the love and listening to the messages and going to the different workshops or information booths and just I just want to see kids smiling and mothers and fathers happy and just good energy downtown.
Fantastic. Asia?
So I come from many different views with this, right? So from an operational standpoint, when we began this in 2022, we had about 19 vendors. Going forward to the next year, we had 26. Same with sponsorship. It went up from about 25 sponsors to the next year 33. I hope for growth every year. I hope for growth for this. Right now, we're on a local level. I foresee the I Am Fathers Fest being something on a national level, something that can be done other places, or people come to this event, from all over to participate in and make themselves known that they are father, right? I'm very much an advocate for fathers, mothers as well, but I'm an advocate for fathers because I understand the absence that of not having a father growing up, what it had, on my soul, on my heart. And then now, these many years later, my father being very much involved in my life, I understand the power of a father. Even at this grown age, I'm like, I'm going to call my dad. You know what I mean? Like, it's never too late for fathers to, make that relationship work. So on a personal note, I want to see mothers. I want to see mothers because not for nothing, we know as women, we can get the men out there, right? We can get those fathers out there, and they might not have wanted to come, but when they get there, they're going to be happy that they came. So, and bring the kids, there's going to be a lot of kids activities there as well. So I just want to see growth on all levels.
Powerful. Sorry?
Yes, I think that one of the things that we have a gentleman that's art. He does a lot of artwork, and he does filming and stuff like that. He's our media man, and he has a big what do you call those murals right here in downtown Schenectady called Imagine.
Okay.
And that reminded me when Johan said, imagine. We have to imagine a new world. And how we do that is bring people who begin to collectively create a new world. Because that's all we're doing right now. We're seeding the collective consciousness of the men and women in our community. And this goes past race, this goes past all of that. When we say we are the fathers and mothers of the 21st century, we have to stand in that. But we have to imagine the world we want these children to live in. And if we want them to live in a different world, then we have to go about creating it.
Yes, sir.
But everything begins with who we are. And I have to imagine who I am so that I can help others to imagine who they could possibly be. And this is how we do this and plant the seeds of tomorrow. And that's what I want to see. This is another seed that we're putting in the earth.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Johan. Thank you, Kenny. Thank you for being a great moderator. Thank you, Walter. Thank you guys for allowing me to sit at this table with you as well.
Oh, the pleasure.